Hello and welcome back, guys. We're now starting a new story, Quirk Ruler Deku, by Yuikazami 21. You can find author's profile link in the description. Let's begin Chapter 1. The Chosen One Izuku Midoriya, known as Deku, found himself in a dire situation. His childhood friend, Katsuki Bakugo, was trapped by a sludge villain, and despite being quirkless, Izuku was determined to help. I need to save everyone despite that, Kaken. And I will not back down from my words, he declared, his resolve unwavering. As he attempted to rescue Bakugo, he was thrown back to the ground. In that moment of despair, he questioned his worth. Am I really useless if I'm quirkless? I need to save Kaken, no matter what. Suddenly, a brilliant light enveloped the area, and Izuku found himself in a white void, facing a mysterious figure in a green jumpsuit. The figure, masked and enigmatic, handed Izuku a belt and a book filled with cards. What are hey, don't go. Izuku called out, but the figure vanished. Confused yet intrigued, he donned the belt and attached the book. As he did, a card flew into his hand, glowing with energy. Instinctively, Izuku shouted, Henshin, and inserted the card into the buckle. Transformed card, Deku, a robotic voice announced, and Izuku was enveloped in a radiant light. As the light faded, Bakugo looked on in shock. What was that light just now? Who is that? A new hero. Izuku realized he had transformed into the hero he had just seen. He instinctively took another card that flew towards him and inserted it into the reader. Attack card, one for all, he declared, feeling a surge of power as electrical currents surrounded him. With newfound strength, he leaped into the air and executed a powerful kick, obliterating the sludge villain. As the dust settled, Izuku reverted to his normal self, leaving Bakugo astonished. Who was that? He just ended the villain's whole career with a simple kick. Feeling a mix of admiration and frustration, Bakugo balled his fists. You're not the one saving me. Out of my way, he said, walking off angrily. Unbeknownst to them, a muscular blonde man had witnessed the entire event, a grin spreading across his face. This young boy, Chapter 2, Ochiko Uraraka. Izuku pondered the figure he had transformed into. Wasn't Deku a nickname given to him by Bakugo, meaning useless person? Ah, there you are, young Midoriya, a familiar voice called out. It was All Might, his hero and idol. All Might. How can I help you again? Izuku stammered, excitement bubbling within him. It seems that you have a good heart. What you did is what most pro-heroes do during their youth, helping in any way they could. Really? I'm glad. Izuku beamed. I'm proud of you, young Midoriya. Say, do you care to explain how you managed to use a quirk that is similar to mine? Similar to yours. Izuku recalled the card reader on the belt that had said, one for all. Indeed, and I'm surprised to see you come out of that attack unharmed. The quirk can be self-destructive to an incapable person. Izuku gasped, realizing the cards had somehow enabled him to mstr the move. Just what was going on? Say, young Midoriya. Do you want to be my disciple? All Might asked. Izuku nodded eagerly, and All Might chuckled. For the next 10 months, Izuku trained diligently with All Might. After intense training, All Might gave him a strand of his hair, instructing him to eat it. Upon doing so, his card book opened, and several cards flew into his hand. Detroit, Manchester, St. Louis, Full Cowl, he read, amazed. After mastering the cards, he was taken to the prestigious Academy for Heroes. So this is it's bigger than I expected, he began, but was suddenly knocked off balance by someone rushing past him. I'm sorry. I was in a hurry, a nervous girl exclaimed, falling to the ground. It's fine, really. I was just going to go in as well, Izuku reassured her. Right. Where are my manners? I am Ochiko Uraraka. Nice to be of acquaintance, she said, standing up and bowing shyly. Izuku couldn't help but think she looked even cuter as she bowed. After introducing himself, they attended the orientation speech together, where they were approached by a glasses-wearing classmate. "You, yes. You," he pointed at Izuku, noting his habit of muttering and suggesting he should reduce it. He introduced himself as Tenya Ida, and Izuku nervously accepted his handshake. Later, during the entrance exam, Izuku faced challenges using his one for all without his costume. He was afraid that if he used it without the cards, he might get hurt. But then a blonde-haired boy stepped in and quickly defeated the robot that was supposed to be Izuku's opponent. He winked at Izuku before leaving. Realizing that time was running out, Izuku knew he had to collect points as soon as possible. Suddenly, he heard a voice calling for help. It was Uraraka, the girl from before, struggling against several robots on her own. The bots floated in the air as if there was no gravity. She shouted, "Release," and the robots fell, but they continued to move. One of the robots got up quickly and attempted to attack Uraraka. She covered her face with her arms, bracing for impact, but it never came. "Are you all right?" Izuku exclaimed, standing in front of her and stopping the robot's weight with just his index finger. Midoriya. "But why?" Uraraka asked, surprised. "Because," Izuku struggled to find the right words. "I couldn't let something like this wipe out your appealing smile." Uraraka blushed at his words, and Izuku felt his own face heat up in nervousness. Then several cards appeared, glowing brightly before revealing Uraraka's portrait on each of them. "Uraraka, allow me to help you," Izuku declared, taking out a card reader shaped like a buckle and placing it at his waist. He inserted a card into the reader. "Henshin," he shouted. "Transform card, DKU." Izuku transformed into the hero known as Deku. After transforming, he kicked the robot away and looked at one of the newly acquired cards. Quirk Conqueror card, Yuravity. "Ochiko, this might tickle a bit," he warned. She replied, confused. Izuku tapped Uraraka's back, and she glowed with a bright light, morphing into a small ball of light that entered Izuku. The other cards lit up, unlocking their powers. "What is this?" Izuku wondered. "This is our strength," he replied, unsure of how to explain further. He took one card and placed it in the reader. Final attack card, Yuravity. The surrounding robots began to float 5 feet into the air as if gravity had vanished. Izuku jumped up and inserted another card. Final attack card, DDD Deku. Rows of holographic cards appeared, connecting to all the robots. Izuku kicked them, and a huge explosion rocked the practice grounds. He landed back on his feet as the ball of light emerged from him, transforming back into Uraraka, who fell to the ground, a bit unsteady. Izuku undid his transformation, returning to his normal self in his training uniform. "Midoriya-kun, why did you help me again?" Uraraka asked, still a bit dazed. That's well, isn't it a hero's duty to protect everyone, including other heroes? I also want to protect the smiles of the people we save." Izuku replied, causing Uraraka to blush again and look away. Other students approached the blast zone, amazed at the debris of the destroyed robots. To Izuku's surprise, Bakugo was among them, huffing in annoyance before walking away. Everyone else praised Izuku for saving Uraraka despite the time limit. The following week, when the exam results were announced, Izuku discovered he hadn't scored any points but had earned enough rescue points to enroll. Now, Izuku was officially a student at U-High, one step closer to his dreams. Izuku, overjoyed at being accepted into U-A, couldn't sleep that night. The next morning, he drank several cups of coffee before heading out. On the way, he encountered Uraraka, who shyly asked if she could walk with him to U-A. He agreed, being the kind-hearted person he was. As they walked, Uraraka stole glances at Izuku and noticed his empty right hand. She hesitated, wanting to hold it, but quickly withdrew when he turned to her. Is there something wrong?" he asked. And no. I mean really, no, she replied, flustered. They arrived at their classroom, where the students were voting for a class rep until their teacher entered. He looked tired, as if he hadn't slept in ages. Izuku recognized him as Eraserhead, the pro-hero, whose real name was Aizawa Shoyuta. As he settled into his seat, Izuku felt his bag pulsating. He opened it to find his card book glowing inside. To avoid drawing attention, he decided to wait until after class to look at it. Aizawa watched him closely, a bead of sweat trickling down his temple. That boy, Aizawa thought, pretending to sleep when Izuku glanced up at him. Once the class was over, Izuku opened the card book to discover many quirks had been acquired, much to his surprise, though some cards remained blurred. He picked one up and read the name, Creation. Hey, what are you looking at? Asked a black-haired girl with her hair tied in a ponytail. Ah, it's nothing, he stammered. You are Midoriya Izuku, aren't you? She asked. Yes, I am. And you are? I am Yaoyorozu Momo. My quirk is Creation. Nice to meet you, Midoriya. So you came here because, he asked, curious. Yes, you mentioned my quirk despite not knowing who I am, right? She replied. Well, I do know that this quirk belongs to a powerful hero family. You're lucky to inherit it, he said. Well, yes indeed, Momo responded, her expression turning sad. Before Izuku could ask what was wrong, Aizawa instructed everyone to head to the training field. He left his card book and buckle on his desk, unaware that Momo was still there, waiting for him to leave. She picked up the book and buckle, inspecting them with wide eyes. At the training field, the students faced rigorous tests, each trying their best to pass using their quirks. Izuku placed 20th, the lowest rank, largely due to Aizawa erasing his one for all during most of the tests. He feared being expelled for failing, but it turned out that Aizawa had been playing a trick on them. On his way home, Izuku noticed his bag felt lighter and checked to find the book and buckle were missing. What? Where? He wondered aloud. Looking for these, a voice called out. It belonged to Momo. You have some great gadgets, Midoriya. Care to explain what these are and why all our quirks are written on the cards? I didn't know. Please don't tell anyone, Yaoyorozu-san. Izuku quickly knelt down, much to Momo's surprise. She felt a warmth rise to her face before shaking her head. What am I thinking? Forget it, I was talking to myself. Suddenly, the ground below collapsed, creating a crater, and both of them fell inside. Izuku opened his eyes to see that Momo had been seriously injured from the fall, she couldn't even move her arms. Yaoyorozu-san. Then, a maniacal laughter echoed from a figure with a drill for a right hand. Caving down roads where people are walking is sure fun indeed. An unnamed villain appeared before them. He approached the injured Momo and attempted to strike, but Izuku interrupted by grabbing him from behind and executing a German suplex. However, the villain quickly recovered. Midoriya, why? Even though I stole you're not stealing, Yaoyorozu-san. I know you have a good heart, being a member of a great hero family after all. You are not just lucky, you deserve such a quirk as inheritance. Momo's heart skipped a beat as Izuku turned to face the recovering villain. You bstrd, who are you? Izuku took the book and buckle, placing the latter onto his waist, and the belt fastened itself around him. He took the transform card and pointed it at the villain. Just a passing through hero, remember that, villain. Henshin. Izuku inserted the card into the reader. Transform card, Deku. In an instant, Izuku transformed into his hero costume, and a card flew out from the book towards his fingers. The card turned out to be Momo's quirk, Creation. Quirk Conquer card, CC Creati. Izuku walked over to Momo and touched her shoulder. This might tickle a little. Whoa. Like Uraraka before her, Momo turned into a ball of light that entered Deku's body, and several more cards appeared in his hand. Form card, Creati, staff. Izuku focused on his arm, forming a metallic staff. The villain charged at Deku, who retaliated by hitting him in the jaw. I forgot to mention, in my version of creation, the weapons I made are a couple of times stronger than Yaoyorozu-san's. See curse you. The villain used his drill hand to attack Izuku, who prepared another card. Form card, Creati, shield. The staff disappeared, and a large kite shield emerged from Izuku's back. The villain's drill hand couldn't pierce through its diamond-hard durability, and Izuku parried the attack effortlessly. Form card, Creati. Blade. Izuku conjured a short blade from his right arm and pinned the villain down by striking the blade through his clothing into the ground. Izuku backflipped a couple of times before pulling out his card. Final attack card, DDD Deku. A row of glowing holographic cards appeared, and Izuku launched a flying kick through them. The villain screamed as Izuku kicked him away. He climbed out of the hole, and the ball of light that was Momo flew back out. Just as Izuku was about to undo his transformation, he carried her in a princess carry and walked away. Izuku took her to Recovery Girl, the medic of UA, and Momo made a quick recovery. The next day, however, well, it's already decided that Ida-san would be the class rep, but I'll be sitting next to Midoriya. But what? I also wanted to sit next to him. The next 30 minutes were consumed by two girls arguing over who would sit next to Izuku. Even Aizawa couldn't stop them as his voice was drowned out by their bickering. In the end, Izuku didn't sit next to either of them, much to their dismay. Can things get any worse? He asked himself before a voice came from nearby. Ribbit, Chapter 4, Tsuyu Azui, you nerd, wake up. Izuku was jolted awake at his desk by none other than Bakugo. Kaken. I need to talk to you for a minute. What is it? Who is that hero? The one who defeated that sludge guy, decimated those training robots, and saved Yaoyorozu. Ask more slowly, would you? Izuku yawned, noticing both Uraraka and Momo approaching with bentos. Ah yes, I forgot to bring my food, Midoriya-kun. Midoriya. Both girls reached Izuku's desk, with Momo kicking Bakugo, sending him crashing into Shudo Todoroki, another classmate. Bakugo yelled at Momo before realizing where he landed. What are you doing, idiot? Bakugo growled. Not getting you hurt. I never expected someone like you would be kicked away that easily. Take that back. They began to argue, creating a cloud of smoke around them. Ida tried to intervene, only to be pulled into the chaos. Midoriya-kun here, you can have my bento. No, have mine. Hers is poisonous. You don't have proof. They continued to bicker as Izuku covered his ears. Ever since he saved Momo, the two often fought over who would give him something. Now, Izuku didn't know whether he was hungry or had a headache. In the end, he picked Uraraka's bento, much to Momo's dismay. Later that day, Izuku trained alone in the field, practicing his combos until he felt thirsty from the heat. Looking for this, Ribbit. Izuku turned to see a girl with black hair and unique features. Ah, thank you, Azui-san. This girl was Tsuyu Azui, whose quirk allowed her to have abilities akin to a frog. The two sat beneath a tree as Izuku gulped down his water bottle. I thought I was going to die, I underestimated today's heat. You shouldn't overexert yourself, Ribbit. Thanks again, but I had to do this to reduce the chance of being injured while using my quirk. May I see your quirk? Of course, Azui-san. Which one, though? The one you used when that giant practice robot was destroyed, Ribbit. Izuku nodded, ready to demonstrate. He couldn't let Tsuyu know yet, could he? Promise me, don't tell this to anyone, especially Kaken, alright. Izuku took his buckle from his sports bag and fastened it around his waist. The card book opened, and a card flew out. Henshin. Transform card, Deku. Izuku transformed into his costume in front of Tsuyu, who watched him with awe. Alright. The one I used that day, final attack card, Yu Gravity. A nearby tree was lifted as the gravity went to zero, and Izuku inserted another card. Final attack card, DDD Deku. Izuku kicked the tree, sending it soaring into the sky like a meteorite. It exploded in mid-air, catching Bakugo's attention. Did he appear again? Back where Izuku was, Tsuyu applauded at the display of quirks. Amazing. But wasn't the first quirk you used Ochako's? It was. I don't know how, but this card book contains all the quirks belonging to the male students. For some reason, I still don't have the girls' quirks. The ones I got were Uraraka's just now, and recently I got Yaoyorozu's quirk. Izuku explained, showing the cards to Tsuyu. With that book and belt, you could be a pro hero in no time, Ribbit. But where did you get them? A person in the costume you saw just now gave them to me. He didn't speak much, but he looked familiar. I see. Then you're miles ahead of me, what? Don't sell yourself short, Azui. You have an interesting quirk, just like how frogs can be. You do. Tsuyu perked up. Even I, who was born quirkless, find many things interesting. Tsuyu felt her heart warm at his words, but then looked down. Suddenly, several cards flew out, displaying Tsuyu and her abilities, glowing as they gained her powers. What happened? Izuku showed her the cards, and she raised an eyebrow. But what does this mean? I don't know. Every time I gain these cards, the original quirk owners seem to come closer to me. Like Ochako and Yaomomo. Well, yes, wait, Yaomomo. That's what we girls call her, Ribbit. And to be honest, Midoriya, I think I may also be attracted to you. In the distance, Minoru Mineta overheard this. He was frustrated, wondering when he would score his own romantic interest. And there he goes again, scoring another girl. I wonder when it will be my turn. Mineta's anger grew as he saw Tsuyu wrapping her long tongue around Izuku's body, pulling him in for a hug before releasing him. In his frustration, he punched the nearest object, only to realize it was Bakugo. Uh-oh, you'll pay for this, you grape-headed son of a. A loud scream echoed as Izuku and Tsuyu returned to class, unaware of the flying pile of school uniforms following them, having witnessed everything that transpired. Izuku was on his way to the 1A classroom, having forgotten his card book for the second time. He retrieved it and felt a pair of eyes watching him, but shrugged it off. So that book is where his quirks are. The floating clothes followed him, and after a minute, he felt like he was being followed. When he turned around, he was startled to see them. Eh! Jaya! Both screamed in surprise. Oh, it's just you, Hagakure, Izuku said, holding his chest, his heart racing. This invisible figure was Toru Hagakure, one of his classmates in 1A. It's nothing, really, I just wanted to talk. Talk? About what? The hero. Who defeated the sludge villain and that drill villain who attacked Yaomomo, was it you? I don't know what you're talking about. I witnessed everything, Midoriya. Being stealthy is my forte. It looks like I won't be able to lie. Okay, I am that hero. What of it? Toru attempted to attack Izuku, but he stepped aside, causing her to trip. He caught her before she could fall. Why are you helping me? Well, I think I should ask you, what were you trying to do? It's complicated. Maybe we need to talk so I can understand why you were trying to attack. They left the school grounds and went to a cafe. Toru sat down and began, so, about earlier, what about earlier? I had a strange dream last night. I saw heroes, our classmates, and other students teaming up with villains to defeat a mysterious figure, and that figure is the masked one you transformed into. He's a devil. A devil. He beats up villains, but in a way that goes against the administration's rules. As a result, he was targeted. That belt, why did he give it to me? And what happened in the end of the dream? All of us, heroes and villains alike, were killed. Izuku's heart sank at the thought. The belt he received could bring an end to heroes and villains. I'm just afraid you might end up like him, or worse, a concerned mutter escaped Toru's invisible lips. Well, it's just a dream, right? Don't worry about it. Even if it's about the future, I can change it with my actions now. What makes you think that, Midoriya? Because I believe I can. I will save everyone and protect their smiles. Izuku's determination made Toru's heart skip a beat. Suddenly, his card book pulsated in his bag, and several cards flew out, revealing Toru's quirks and abilities. So can I get you anything, Midoriya? She sounded nervous, having also developed feelings for him. I'm fine, I can order myself. It feels like we are both dating, right? Together at a cafe, well you know. At that moment, Uraraka, Momo, and Tsuyu walked by. After seeing Izuku with the invisible Toru, they entered the cafe, took a couple of chairs, and sat with them. Midoriya, can I get you anything? The three of them asked in unison. Izuku felt a wave of frustration wash over him. At a table behind them, a blonde-haired boy sat with an angry look on his face as he overheard Izuku and Toru's conversation. Bakugo had finally realized that Deku was the masked figure from before. He couldn't wait to test his strength against his childhood friend, whom he had bullied throughout elementary and middle school. Chapter 6, Facing Kaken. Izuku headed back to the school grounds, making his way to the training area when he spotted a familiar figure facing away from him. Kaken, what are you doing out here this late? He asked. DMN nerd, fight me, Bakugo demanded. Huh? What are you saying, Kaken? I said fight me. Izuku was taken aback. Did Bakugo really want to fight him? He took a deep breath, put on his buckle, and pulled out the transform card. I guess you already knew, Kaken. Of course I would know, you couldn't hide it forever, idiot. Henshin. Transform card, Deku. After transforming, Deku assumed a fighting stance as Bakugo cracked his knuckles. Let's go, DMN nerd. Attack card, engine boost. Izuku inserted a card into the reader, moving at double speed and dodging Bakugo's charge, which caused an explosion of air in front of him. Without warning, Bakugo was sent flying by 2 quick hits. Izuku had used Ida's quirk to enhance his speed. Time out, the Buckle's AI announced, and Izuku returned to normal speed. So that quirk card has a time limit, he murmured to himself as the card reappeared in the book. He took another card and inserted it into the reader. Now let's try this. Form card. Bakugo noticed the card had Momo's portrait on it and quickly moved towards Izuku, ready to attack. But before he could, Izuku created a shield. Kriati, block. Izuku shot Bakugo off his tracks, sending him crashing to the ground. Are you alright? Izuku asked, concerned. Support card, recovery. In an instant, Bakugo's wounds healed, and he glared at Izuku before standing up and walking away angrily, unable to land a single hit on the person he thought was useless. The next day, Aizawa announced their next training exercise. One team would defuse a fake nuke while the other acted as villains. To prepare, Izuku's mother, Inko, made him a handmade costume similar to his transformation outfit, though it lacked the large white bracers and featured a normal red belt. Izuku was teamed with Uraraka, and he blushed nervously when she happily announced they were on the same team. During the training, he encountered Bakugo again. The two fought, but Izuku avoided using his card, not wanting the rest of the class to discover his secret. Why didn't you transform, idiot? Bakugo yelled. We are being watched. Izuku replied. I don't care about that, DMN nerd. Just use one card. One card. Alright then, Izuku sighed, throwing a smoke bomb he had crafted at home to the floor before taking a card. He transformed into his other costume and inserted another card as Bakugo charged at him. Attack card, invisible. Izuku vanished from sight, making Bakugo look around in confusion. Just then, Izuku delivered a chop to the back of Bakugo's neck, undoing his transformation just in time as the smoke cleared. Sorry, I couldn't risk it, Kaken. Izuku exclaimed. DMN nerd, don't belittle me. Bakugo shot back, preparing to unleash his power. A powerful explosion filled the hall, but when the smoke cleared, Izuku had caught Bakugo's arm, the blast only damaging his costume. Detroit Smash! Izuku shouted, delivering an uppercut that sent Bakugo flying and causing destruction in the process. In that moment, Izuku saw both Uraraka and Ida falling from a great height. With no other choice, he quickly transformed back and used his card. Attack card, Engine Boost. The boost increased his speed, allowing him to run up the walls, grab both Ida and Uraraka, and bring them to safety before heading towards the fake nuke and securing it. Afterward, he remembered Bakugo was still hanging from the ceiling, trying to free himself. With a blast from his quirk, Bakugo fell, and Izuku, Ida, and Uraraka caught him, cushioning his fall. They took Bakugo to the infirmary, along with Izuku, to get his arm treated from using Detroit Smash. Despite everything, Bakugo muttered, "You'd think I would have some sort of respect towards you. You're just DMN lucky, DMN Deku." His words sent a chill through Uraraka and Izuku. The teachers observing their progress were surprised at how Izuku managed to save everyone in such a short time. One teacher, an adult woman with dark hair, watched Izuku intently as his mask crumbled. Chapter 7, Namuri Kayama. Izuku was finishing a written assignment for modern art history class, feeling the gazes of the girls who had previously been smitten with him. The girls exchanged glances that turned into glares, and even Izuku felt uneasy under Toru's invisible stare. He glanced over at Kamen Denki, who was trying to peek at someone else's worksheet when suddenly a WHP lashed onto his desk. "Kamen Denki, you're getting a 0. You may leave the class to grieve over it," said Namuri Kayama, the modern art history teacher at UA, known for her strictness. Kaminari attempted to defend himself, but Midnight's icy glare sent him running out, his fake crying echoing in the hallways. Izuku continued to work on his worksheet, noticing that Midnight was now staring at him intently. Was she worried he might cheat like Kaminari? No. He was here to become a hero, even if it meant studying hard. Midoriya. Izuku. You shall remain in the classroom after class ends. For a moment, the girls shifted their attention away from Izuku and focused on the hero. Izuku felt a mix of anxiety and determination as he thought, "Watch over me, All Might." Meanwhile, All Might, playing chess with Nizu, the principal of UA, sneezed unexpectedly. "Is something wrong?" Nizu inquired. "No, just a breeze," All Might replied, returning his focus to the game. Back in the classroom, Izuku remained alone after everyone else had left. A mysterious figure approached him, revealing herself as his teacher. "So, Midoriya Izuku, right? Also known as Deku. How did you know my identity, sensei?" he asked, surprised. "The costume you wear is quite similar to Deku's, just more advanced. It's a shame the other students didn't notice." Izuku hesitated, unsure of how to respond. "You should know that cheating during the hero test yesterday is unacceptable," she said, pulling out a buckle and a book from the desk. "Please, give them back, sensei. I'm afraid you're not in a position to make demands, Midoriya." "I'll just play with these for a moment," she said, opening the card book and whistling in intrigue. "Why is this card gray, unlike the others?" she asked. "It hasn't gained its power yet." "I couldn't use it," he explained. "How do you gain power for the cards?" she pressed. "I don't know. The boys' quirks powered up when I first met them, and for the girls, I just had to talk to them, and then they would suddenly have a red face, then, I see. You have a special way of connecting with the girls to unlock their quirks." "Wait, sensei. It's not like that. I helped them when they were in trouble. That's all." "You certainly are interesting," she mused, and suddenly, the card in her hand glowed, gaining color. "And a cutie to top it off. Maybe you should visit me at the office sometimes," she added with a playful tone. "What? But aren't student-teacher relationships forbidden?" "It won't be a problem as long as nobody knows, right?" She handed back his buckle, card, and books before leaving. "Oh, and tomorrow you're going to USJ, right? Do your best, boy." Izuku sat there, trying to process everything that had just happened. He knew he would gain more experience at USJ. With a determined look at his buckle and book, he left the classroom. Chapter 8, USJ Incident. All Might had officially joined UA's faculty, and everyone was kept away from the press, thanks to the U.A. barrier, a high-tech gate. Today was the day Class 1A would visit the USJ Dome for further training, assisted by the Pro Hero, 13. Everyone listened to Aizawa's instructions, except for 2 students who were distracted. Suddenly, a black portal opened, causing confusion among the students. Izuku, who had forgotten something, rushed into the dome and noticed something was off. He quickly put on his buckle and inserted a card to transform. Transform card, Deku. He ran towards the group, asking, "Everyone, what is going on? Villains are attacking the dome. You have to help us." Uraraka pleaded, and Izuku nodded, ready to assist. The villains noticed Izuku's presence and hesitated, fear evident in their eyes. "Tamura. That's the devil," one of the villains shouted. "Him, a devil?" Ochako questioned, glancing at Deku. "That's what Hagakure called me when she confronted me." "Ochako, did you have a strange dream?" Uraraka backed away, and Deku nodded. "I'll take that as a yes. It seems whatever happened in the future made everyone turn against me." Deku readied a card as Tamura chuckled. "Who are you, brat?" he sneered. "Just a passing-through hero. Remember that." Attack card, blast. Deku pointed his arm towards the villains, unleashing a blast of homing bullets. However, one villain conjured a black mist, and Deku found himself submerged in deep water. "This is the flood zone," he exclaimed, noticing a shark-like figure swimming towards him. Just then, a long tongue wrapped around him, pulling him out of the water and onto a ship. "Thank you, Azui. Please, call me Tsu, Ribbit." "All right." Suddenly, they heard screams from Mineta, who was in danger of drowning. Despite his questionable ethics, they had to help him. Izuku looked at his card book, and as he thought, a card flew out. He inserted it into the reader. Quirk Conquer card, FF Froppy Tsu. This might tickle a little. Ribbit. Tsuyu croaked as Deku suddenly slapped her on the back. She transformed into a ball of light and entered Deku's body. He then inserted another card. Attack card, Frog Tongue. A long tongue shot out from Deku's mouth, grabbing Mineta by the stomach and pulling him out of the water, sending him crashing onto the ship. "Oh, we be more gentle next time, Tsuyu." "Stay there," Deku replied, inserting another card as the shark villain lunged at them. Final attack card, FF Froppy. Deku leaped into the air, executing a front flip to kick the villain, striking him hard and breaking his fangs. "Now you won't bite anyone with a mouth like that." Attack card, Bind. Lasers circled around the villain, binding him before he vanished, destined for prison. Back at the USJ, Deku released Tsuyu from his body, and she returned to her original form. "Whoa, that felt amazing, Ribbit." "What's amazing?" Izuku asked, still processing the events. "Ah, don't tell me you both." Suddenly, a long tongue slapped Mineta on the cheek, knocking him out. "Let's just get him to safety before he wakes up," one of them said. "What about you?" Ribbit asked. "I'll help the others, now go." A card flew out from the book and began to power up. Izuku inserted the card into the reader. Attack card, Warp Gate. A black mist appeared from Deku's gauntlets as he shot them, stepping inside. Beyond the gate, he found Kaminari, Momo, and a girl with earphone jacks defending themselves in the mountain zone. Where did he come from?" Kaminari exclaimed. "Sorry, had to go fishing to get here," Deku replied, turning his gaze at the villains surrounding them. "As for all of you, let me play with you now." Attack card, Electrical Stream. "Yaoyorozu, cover yourselves. This might tingle a little," Deku warned. Momo nodded and conjured a large sheet to cover herself, the earphone girl, and Kaminari. Deku began to levitate, releasing a huge stream of electric currents that electrocuted everything in the vicinity. Isn't that my quirk? Just who is this guy? The earphone girl shouted. No doubt, he's the devil I saw, she began, but Momo silenced her with a look that said, he's no devil. But Yao Momo, if it's about that dream, Jairu, forget about it. Jairu nodded nervously, her gaze still filled with resentment as she watched Deku. Well, that's it for this zone. Attack card, Warp Gate. Deku stepped into the black mist he created and found himself near the exit, where he saw 13 battling Kurojairi, the villain whose Warp Gate quirk Deku had stolen. Kurojairi had caused 13's black hole to backfire on herself, and before she realized what had happened, she found herself beside Deku. How am I? She asked, bewildered. Kurojairi was about to be turned into dust. And that devil, he stole my quirk as well, he exclaimed, creating another gate to escape. Now go and call the cavalry, if you could, Deku instructed. I've sent Ida already, they'll be here soon. 13 replied. Good to know, then. Attack card, Warp Gate. Deku prepared to walk into the mist, but 13 stopped him. Wait. Who are you, exactly? Quirk ruler, Deku. In an instant, Deku was transported to the central plaza, where he saw Aizawa struggling against an odd-looking villain and Tamura himself. Is that him, the devil? Tamura asked. It is him. Do whatever you want, Nomu, so you can avoid facing both him and All Might simultaneously. Attack card, Detroit Smash. Deku dashed over to the being named Nomu and punched him in the gut, only for the attack to be absorbed. So this thing is built to withstand one for all. Interesting. Oh, a quick learner as expected of a devil. But you're just blabbing like the mongrel you are. I just need 10 seconds to fight with you. Attack card, Engine Boost, Recipro. The roar of an engine filled the air as Deku dashed at Mach 6, attacking Nomu from different sides. Nomu struggled to keep up with him due to his massive stature. Unlike Ida-san, whose attack would force him to accelerate at great risk, this card allows me to move freely without any risk. Oh honor, DMNU, Deku. Nomu shouted, feeling his strength fade under the speed and power of Deku's attacks. Just before Deku landed the final blow, a figure appeared and punched Nomu in the stomach, sending him flying away. All Might. Deku exclaimed. I am here. Sorry if I'm too late, young Midori, I mean, Deku. All Might replied. You knew. Heh. Everyone should have known, judging by your color of choice. But they're too oblivious to notice. Well, thank Tokusatsu logic for that, Deku said, sweat dropping. Deku then noticed Tamura tearing up. Even a crusty-lipped villain could cry. What a surprise. A portal appeared, and Kurojairi walked out, only to fall back at the sight of Deku and All Might. I came at the wrong time, did I? Kurojairi asked. Yes, dead wrong, Deku replied. Now what shall I do with you both? Shall I cook you up a little, half done or well done? Deku asked, pulling out a card with Todoroki Shudo's face on it. Both Tamura and Kurojairi took a step back as Kurojairi created another warp portal for their escape. Deku turned to All Might and said, please do not tell the others about my secret, before warping away with the Warp Gate card, which transported him to where Achiko was. He undid his transformation just in time as the other teachers burst into the building. Wait, so where's the enemy? One of the teachers, Ectoplasm, asked. I was sure there was this guy who shot black portals at me, I am serious, Sensei, Ida tried to explain. All of them are in confinement already, if you're asking, Sensei, Izuku said, trying to keep the facts hidden. All of them believed him, except for Midnight, who already knew the identity of the hero responsible. A small smile crept up on her face. However, amidst all that, Izuku didn't notice the girl with short black hair and earphone jacks peeking at him from behind a corner, her gaze filled with resentment as she saw who was behind that mask. Chapter 9, Quirk Sniper. Nobody knew who that hero was, who single-handedly beat the villains back at USJ, except for a select few. One of them was a black-haired girl who used earphone jacks to attack. Now she was gazing at Izuku Midoriya with hatred as she took notes during class. However, she couldn't act in the middle of class. She didn't want to get in trouble. So she waited for the opportunity, which came at the end of the school day. Everyone else had packed up their belongings and gone home, except for Izuku and her. Midoriya. Ah, Jairu, isn't it? Izuku replied. I see we're not familiar yet. I am Jairu Kyoka, and I have a question for you. Gee, go ahead. Izuku felt uneasy about where this was going. Do you know who the masked hero that saved everyone back at the USJ is? What? I mean, I don't know what you're talking about. Don't spew nonsense. I saw you undoing your transformation. I guess I really couldn't keep it a secret for long, huh? Yes, I am that hero. What? Why are you asking that? Jairu's earphone jacks then lengthened and pierced through the floor. In an instant, Izuku heard an extremely loud banging, so loud that he had to cover his ears. A sound-amplifying quirk, he thought. I will end you, right here and now. Nobody is here to witness it. I shall save everyone, Jairu declared, her determination evident. As Izuku knelt on the floor, Jairu closed the distance to Izuku, her hands poised to strike. Just as she was about to reach him, the earphone jacks unplugged themselves from the ground. Transform card, DKU. Izuku transformed into Deku and quickly warped away using the Warp Gate card, infuriating Jairu, who had been so close to him. As Jairu made her way home, listening to punk rock, she sensed she was being followed. Turning around, she spotted a couple of villains preparing their weapons. Why here and now? It wasn't even night yet. Jairu plugged her earphone jacks into the ground, trying to amplify her heartbeat as she had done with Izuku earlier. However, the villains didn't flinch, they were wearing earplugs to counter her attack. She ran until she stumbled upon a dead end, leaning against the wall in fear as the villains approached. Just then, a gunshot rang through the air. Era, what do we have here? Some bad boys trying to do unsavory things to an innocent. All the villains looked up to see a long-haired girl wearing the uniform. Who on earth is she? Jairu wondered, having never seen this girl before. If you want to have fun with someone, let Wani-chan teach you a lesson, the girl said, inserting 2 cards into her gun, which had a driver attached to the barrel. Summon card, Tamura, summon card, Dabi. She pulled the trigger, and 2 silhouettes shot from the gun, materializing on the ground in front of the villains. Jairu's eyes widened upon seeing Tamura. She remembered him from the USJ incident. What was he doing with this girl? The unnamed villains tried to strike, but they were no match for the 2 high-ranked villains. Return cards. The villains turned back into cards and flew towards the girl. She jumped down from the roof and offered Jairu a hand. Got you, Jairu Kyoka. How do you know my name? Jairu asked, surprised. Long story. Now you should head home. Good girls don't stay outside until it's late, she said with a smirk. Right. But who are you again? Jairu looked to her side, and when she turned back, the girl had vanished. That was quick. Now Jairu had more questions. Who was that Wani-chan she had just seen? And why did she look like Midoriya? She looks like him. I wonder why. Meanwhile, Izuku warped in front of his home and opened the door. I'm home. Ah, I-chan. You're early, his mother exclaimed. Yes, Mom. The trains were early as well. He couldn't tell her everything just yet. But he still couldn't shake the fact that Jairu knew about his secret. He didn't remember seeing her when he undid his transformation back then. Maybe tomorrow he could explain to the black-haired girl. It had been announced that there would be a sports festival at UA, and the entire class needed to participate in the event. Izuku peeked around a corner, making sure Jairu wasn't waiting for him. Luckily, she wasn't, and he entered the classroom safely, where he saw Jairu talking with the other girls. Is it true? A girl who looks similar to Midoriya. Mina Ashido asked. Yes. When I asked who she was, she just vanished like a ghost, Jairu replied. They continued to bicker until Izuku joined the conversation. Good morning, what is this about a girl who looked like me? It's none of your business, Jairu shot back. Jairu, Momo scolded gently. Alright. So it's like this, Izuku's eyes widened at Jairu's story. You're saying she uses cards as well? But they're for summoning people instead of using their quirks. Yes. Remember that villain we encountered at USJ? For some reason, she was able to summon him. Who is this girl? Izuku wondered until Jairu snapped him out of his thoughts. We still need to talk. After school, like yesterday. This again, Jairu. I mean, please. I don't know if I can change what would happen. Maybe I should have trusted you. The school day went on as usual, and this time Jairu followed Izuku on his way home. Why are you following me? He asked. Making sure you don't get into trouble with villains. It's against regulations, you know. I told you, I won't. Just then, a group of villains appeared on the street. Oh great, at a time like this. They like to target students these days. Both of them ran until they reached an alleyway and hid behind a dumpster. So, what's the plan? Jairu asked. I'll transform. I can give you time to escape. Henshin. Transform card, DKU. Izuku transformed into his costume, swiped his hands, and charged at the villains, single-handedly defeating them with his fighting skills. He turned around to see Jairu being blocked by another group of unnamed villains. Jairu, duck. Attack card, blast. With a flurry of homing bullets, the group blocking Jairu was knocked out as she crouched to avoid getting hit. That was dangerous. Why are you helping me? She asked. Meddling in situations like this is what a hero does, right? You tried to end me during our meeting yesterday to avoid the future you saw in your dream. You cared for those who suffered, and that's what makes you a hero at heart, Kyoka Jairu. Jairu's face reddened as a card flew from the card book into Deku's hand. Some of the villains that had been knocked down began to get back up, and Deku quickly put the card into the reader. Quirk Conqueror card, earphone jack. Jairu, this might tickle a little, he warned. Jairu turned her gaze back toward Deku, who slapped her on the back. Whoa, wah. Jairu turned into a ball of light and entered Deku's body. He pulled out a card and inserted it into the reader. Form card, Creati, custom. With Momo's power, Deku conjured a pair of taiko drumsticks and a huge drum. Another card flew into the card reader, announcing, attack card, earphone jack. From the rabbit ear-like parts of Deku's mask, a pair of earphone jacks sprouted and attached themselves to the drum. Another card followed, declaring, final attack card, earphone jack. With determination, Deku struck the drum with the taiko sticks, sending a shockwave through the villains in front of him. This version of the earphone jack quirk allowed him to target specific foes rather than affecting a wide area. As the villains began to kneel, Deku increased the volume of his drumming. He continued with a gentler rhythm, preparing for a final beat. Lasers began to materialize, ready to bind the villains. With all his strength, Deku struck the drum one last time. The lasers ensnared their targets, transporting them to a nearby prison. The warden was astonished to see the captured villains, all appearing dazed. As Izuku undid his transformation, Jairu floated back to her original form. Now that's one experience I'll never forget. Thank you, Midoriya, she said. Anytime, Jairu, he replied with a happy grin that made her heart flutter. Checking his watch, Izuku exclaimed, I need to go home now. Mom's going to scold me if I'm late. All right then, Jairu said, turning away, still blushing. She wondered if this was how the other girls felt when Izuku caught their attention. Without wasting time, she headed home. Meanwhile, a certain pink-haired girl watched from around a corner, grinning. So that's how he unlocks powers for the cards. I think I should make my move tomorrow. The next day, Izuku scrolled through the news on his phone. More villains found dead with no life fluids. What on earth is going on here? It was reported that they had their quirks forcibly stolen. Yo, Midoriya, a cheerful voice chimed. It was Mina Ashido, one of his classmates. What are you reading? Oh, it's nothing, he started, but she spotted the headlines. Ah, another villain murdered. I've been wondering about that too, Ashido-san. Who could be responsible? I know Tamura can disintegrate someone, but this is crossing a line. Well, whether the murderer is a villain, vigilante, or even a hero, I don't mind. At least the streets are a bit safer. But this is scaring everyone. Even Kaken looks a bit shaken, Izuku pointed out, indicating Bakugo, who was visibly trembling. I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid, I'm not afraid of some murderer, I'm not, Bakugo insisted, though his voice betrayed him. Eijiro Kirishima, with his quirk to harden his body, leaned in and whispered something to Bakugo, only to be met with an explosive response that sent him flying back into his seat, appearing to be asleep. Forget about Bakugo, you know what I mean, Mina said, playfully nudging Izuku. Wait, what, he replied, caught off guard. I know your secret too, like the other girls before me. I want to experience what it's like to be close to you. Alright, now if we're speaking out of context, people will misunderstand. Izuku gently pushed Mina away, but she pouted in response. Midoriya, can you walk me home after school? She asked, her tone shifting. Izuku agreed, and as they walked, Mina expressed her confusion. You know, I'm just wondering if I should work hard like you or just give up. You shouldn't give up. No matter what challenges you face, you should study hard. An educated hero is just as important as one who saves anyone at any time. Mina felt heat rush to her face, thinking, oh no, I think my acid's leaking from this heat anyway. It's rather quiet, isn't it? I mean, no random villains ambushing us this time. Now that you mention it, it is quiet, too quiet, Izuku said, pulling out a card from his card book. Henshin. What are you doing? Mina asked, confused. Transform card, DKU. Get down, she shouted as a fist flew toward Izuku, who was transforming into Deku. He blocked the attack with just his index finger. The enemy was a villain who had somehow returned to life, seeking revenge on Izuku. With a swift kick, Izuku knocked him back, and a card flew out, revealing its newfound power. Quirk Conqueror card, PP Pinky. Ashido-san, you want to experience it, right? This might tickle a little. Izuku, without hesitation, slapped Mina on the back, and she transformed into a ball of light that entered him. A few more cards flew out. The metal villain recovered and charged at Deku again, who inserted another card into the reader, attack card, acid shot. Meanwhile, Bakugo, Ida, Mineta, and Kaminari were facing a appealing girl in a school uniform. So she's the culprit. She needs to be taught a lesson for breaking the regulations. Ida exclaimed. Yeah, for eyes, stop your speech and let's get this done already. Mineta replied, readying his quirk alongside Kaminari as Bakugo and Ida approached the girl slowly. Era. You're approaching me, boys, she teased. We couldn't beat you if we don't get any closer. Bakugo shot back. Well, face these first. The girl pulled out a gun and inserted a couple of cards. Tenya, grape juice, ground zero, charge bolt. She pulled the trigger, and 4 holograms appeared, whizzing around the boys. When they stopped, the boys were shocked to see clones of themselves in their hero costumes. What is this? Sending us against ourselves. Bakugo shouted. Ah, good old Katsuchi, always explosive even in person. You're making Wanichan blush, she said, smirking. "Shut your mouth." Bakugo charged first, trying to land a punch on the girl, but his clone blocked him and retaliated. Back with Deku, he sent the metal villain flying into a wall, the acid spraying him. Mina flew out of his body and transformed back into herself. "Now that was like heaven," she exclaimed. "Now for the grand finale." Deku announced, "Final attack card, DDD Deku." He raised his right arm, pointing towards the villain, as a row of holographic cards appeared. With a grunt, a green blast shot out, phasing through the cards and hitting the villain. The villain screamed before glowing white and transforming into a card that flew away. Izuku then walked Mina home, unaware that Bakugo and the others were still fighting. Back with Bakugo, the group had finally defeated their clones, which turned into cards. Mineta knelt down, exhausted. "No more summoning this time," he taunted. "Looks like it's just you now," Ida said to the girl. "You are under arrest for violating the administration's regulations." The girl just smiled, her eyes half open. Kaminari charged at her, ready to land an electrifying punch, but she inserted a card into her gun's reader. His punch hit an invisible wall. "Arrest me." "Oh, Ida-chan always following the rules, are we?" "I am not the easy type to be arrested." A bright light blasted Kaminari away, and when it dissipated, her new form emerged. She looked similar to a masked hero, with white linings and blue-eye visors, and a cape shaped like a stag beetle's horn. "How do you like Wani-chan's true form?" "Even All Might fears this form in my world," she taunted. "Your world? Just who are you?" Mineta asked. "I am Midoriya Izumi. Quirk sniper, wanted in my world." "Now, Ida-chan, what shall you do now?" Bakugo shouted a battle cry and charged ahead. "Wait, Bakugo!" Bakugo attempted to punch Izumi, but she caught his fist effortlessly, and his quirk failed to activate. "Nice gauntlets, Katsuchi. Did your boyfriend give them to you?" Izumi pulled Bakugo's arm, spinning him around and bending it painfully. Bakugo screamed, feeling the heat of his own explosive quirk as he was sent flying back towards the group. "Bakugo!" the others shouted, rushing to check on him. They were relieved to find a pulse, but knew they had to get him to Recovery Girl quickly. "That girl," Mineta growled, throwing sticky ball at Izumi. Kaminari helped by charging the ball with electricity, and Ida charged ahead with his engine quirk. However, Izumi easily dodged the ball and caught Ida's fist, throwing him back. She whizzed past the group, who were getting back up. "Izumi, you!" Ida yelled. "It's over," she said, and suddenly sparks of energy exploded from beneath the ground, knocking out Mineta and Kaminari and sending Ida flying into a wall. "Wani-chan shall let you little cuties live for now. Just remember never to interfere with my actions ever again, or there will be a more severe punishment," she laughed as she walked away, leaving the group in shock. "Ow-wow-wow!" Bakugo exclaimed as his father, Masaru, distanced his hands after putting on his cast. "DMN, old man. You know this hurts." Bakugo complained. I know. I still remember how painful it is to have a limb dislocated." Masaru replied. "Just my luck, the sports festival is a few days away, and here I am with a broken arm. I don't want to be a Deku, like that nerd." As Masaru tried to calm his son, Mineta spent his time on his patient bed reading magazines. Ida and Kaminari, already healed, were in the classroom. Ida informed the others that Bakugo and Mineta wouldn't be able to attend the festival due to their injuries. Recovery Girl had healed Bakugo's wound, but he insisted his arm would heal on its own until he realized the festival was approaching. "So, who attacked you?" Ida asked. "A girl with long green hair. She looks just like Midoriya," Bakugo replied. Jiru's eyes widened. That girl caused Bakugo to be hospitalized. She approached Ida. "What's that girl's name again?" "Midoriya Izumi," Ida said. The whole class froze, including Izuku, who had never heard of a relative named Izumi. Could this girl be tarnishing his family name? The class quieted down for a moment before returning to their usual chatter as Aizawa walked in. Deku, Why are you calling me that, Ochiko? Izuku replied, confused. Wait, it's an insult. It is well, you know the meaning. But I think that name can have a good meaning. Really? Yes, it does. Just then, Mina skipped over to Izuku, asking, can you teach me some of this? She handed him her notebook filled with math problems she couldn't solve. But before he could help, another hand snatched it away. After writing a solution, the figure returned it to Mina, who made an annoyed expression. You shouldn't weigh him down with problems like this, Ashido, another girl chimed in. And there they went again, the girls in the classroom bickering over Izuku. He began to wonder if making them fall for him was a good idea after all. This became a daily occurrence until the sports festival finally began a few days later. First, he met an eccentric girl named Mei Hatsum, a genius in craftsmanship. Upon meeting her, one of her cards activated, showcasing her quirk, Zoom. Izuku thought perhaps he could use this quirk to his advantage later on. He was the one to make the opening remarks since Bakugo was absent due to injury. The first race was an obstacle course, which Izuku navigated with ease, earning the highest score in the cavalry battle. During that battle, he barely secured victory and advanced to the finals, facing Hitoshi Shinso, whose quirk allowed him to brainwash people. Izuku managed to win that match, and in the next round, he faced Shudo Todoroki. Before the match, he encountered Todoroki's father, Endeavor. I am not All Might, and Todoroki isn't you, Endeavor. We become our own person, without being bound by anything, Izuku asserted. You're just a young man, like my son. Just who do you think you are? Endeavor challenged. Just a passing-through hero. Remember that. Endeavor raised an eyebrow before walking away. During the fight with Shudo, Izuku noticed that Shudo only used his ice quirk, avoiding his fire abilities. Remembering his encounter with Endeavor, Izuku encouraged Shudo to embrace his fire power. The real battle began, and Shudo barely emerged victorious. He then faced Tokoyami in the finals, winning by sending Tokoyami out of the ring. Bakugo watched from the stands, feeling triggered that Izuku had never transformed. Why is that nerd? Bakugo muttered. Ah, I am just as surprised as you are, Katsuchi, came a voice from beside him. Bakugo turned to see Izumi, his twin sister. What are you doing here? Can't a girl watch her twin brother compete in a festival? How rude, Katsuchi, twin brother. Just who are you? Promise me you won't be surprised. Good. Now Wani-chan shall tell you her story. Fine. Wani-chan is from another world, one that is already in disarray. Say, do you have a crazy dream where everyone, including you, died? Bakugo nodded, intrigued. That's what happened in that world, and Wani-chan had to confront that world's Izuku, which was not easy at all. Bakugo listened intently as she continued, I had to train, stealing quirks from the remaining people who had them. Luckily, some high-ranking villains were still moving, so I had to confront them as well. Bakugo's eyes widened as she revealed a set of cards featuring their classmates in hero costumes. Oh, and Katsuchi, make sure Izuku survives, alright. Stay close to him, and if he doesn't make it Wani-chan will find you. Izumi stood up and walked away. Where are you going? Hunting, Katsuchi, getting bored is the worst thing that could happen to me. Bakugo remained seated, shaken. He then watched as the winners received their medals, Shudo in first place, Tokoyami in second, and Izuku in third. Later, Tenya received an urgent call and rushed to the hospital to see his brother, who could no longer fight due to an encounter with the hero killer, Stain. Unbeknownst to him, a figure with long hair overheard their conversation, smirking as she found a suitable target to pursue. Days later at UA, the students were tasked with creating their hero names. Everyone had chosen theirs except for Bakugo, who was still recovering and had to write with his left hand. He grew increasingly frustrated when Midnight rejected his suggestions. They were then nominated to train under pro heroes. Midnight hoped to nominate Izuku, but the principal noticed her behavior around him and arranged for Izuku to train with Gran Torino, the old pro hero known for his speed. Izuku trained under Torino all day. Meanwhile, in a discreet alleyway in Hosu, Izumi met with a masked man holding blades. "So, I guess we had a deal, then," she said. "You can do whatever you want, as long as you give me some people to act as my guards," Stain replied. "That won't be a problem," she assured him, loading 3 cards into her gun. Summon card, Sludge Villain, Shark Villain, NOMU. With a pull of the trigger, 3 villains appeared, materializing from holograms into reality. "Now, let me deal with Endeavor and any other villains that might attack." "These 3 should be enough," Izumi said with a smirk. "Just who are you?" a voice questioned. "Just a passing through Quirk sniper, remember that," she replied, pulling the trigger on her weapon. A black portal opened, leading her to the city square, where she anticipated Tamura would unleash his army of Nomu to wreak havoc. In mere seconds, she touched the nearby Nomu, absorbing their powers and life force, transferring them into cards. "Now, let's run rampant in my style," she declared, preparing her cards. Meanwhile, Torino and Izuku were on a bullet train, dressed in their hero costumes. Izuku had transformed into Deku, a name he had chosen during class that day, which had drawn Bakugo's glare and revealed his identity to the entire class. They were bound to find out eventually. Suddenly, a hero crashed into the train, and a Nomu appeared. Torino tackled the creature out of the train to protect the passengers and Deku. Sensing trouble in Hosu, Deku decided to investigate. In the city square, Endeavor was already engaged in battle with the Nomu. "What is this? They're much tougher than I expected," he muttered. "It's because they're my summons," a voice chimed in. Endeavor turned to see a girl with dark green hair wearing a uniform. "Yahoo! It's lovely to finally meet you, pro-hero Endeavor," she said cheerfully. "Who are you?" he demanded. "Just a Quirk sniper, nothing much," she replied. Suddenly, Endeavor recalled the news from the previous day about the person responsible for Tenya and Bakugo's hospitalization. Could it be her? "What are you after?" he asked. "Isn't it obvious, Mr. Endeavor? You're Quirk, of course." "Hand it over to me," she said playfully. Endeavor charged at her, but a Nomu blocked his path, knocking him aside. "I should let you know that my summons are much stronger and more resilient than the originals." "Struggle all you want," she taunted. A winged Nomu swooped down to crush Endeavor, but he easily lifted it and scorched it with his quirk, turning it into a card. "You're tougher than I expected. But this One-chan is afraid this is getting old." "Transform card, Quirk Sniper," Izumi declared, transforming into her costume. She zipped past Endeavor several times, immobilizing him in mid-air before slamming him back down to the ground. "Now, let this One-chan confiscate your quirk," she exclaimed, closing the distance to Endeavor, who smirked defiantly. "You do know I can scorch you when you get near, right?" he warned. Izumi chuckled. "How do you think I stole my world's version of Shigaraki Tamura? You're quite the airhead for a hero, Mr. Endeavor." She inserted a card, attack card, Quirk Sniper, and aimed her weapon at Endeavor, pulling the trigger. A powerful gust of wind began to pull his quirk out, forming a fiery ball. Endeavor screamed as he felt his powers being drained. Izumi smiled, holding her finger on the trigger until a sudden impact struck her from behind, forcing her to stop. It was Torino, who had smashed a Nomu into her. "TCH, so I think it won't be that easy," she muttered. The other Nomu returned, and Izumi blew a kiss to the two pro-heroes. "One-chan shall leave these two for you, then. Bye-bye." She summoned a portal and warped away, heading toward Stain. At Stain's location, he was overpowering Tenya, about to finish him off when Izuku suddenly appeared. "Final attack card, DDD Deku," he shouted, launching himself through a row of holographic cards and kicking Stain. "You are Midoriya!" Stain exclaimed. I'm sorry I'm late, Ida-san. Leave him to me now, Izuku replied. No. You shouldn't be here, Tenya protested. Ida-chan is correct. You shouldn't meddle with something you can't handle, Stain added, as a portal opened behind him, revealing a girl in a costume resembling Deku's. That costume and gun don't tell me you're the, Izuku began. Yes. Wani-chan is the quirk sniper everyone is talking about, Izuku, she interrupted. Why are you doing this, Izumi? He asked, confused. Why indeed, she replied, just as Stain felt a knife plunge into his back. You betrayed me, he gasped. The plan failed, and I'm just here to tie up loose ends. After all, I couldn't let you harm Izuku in any way, she explained. You don't understand. He has the traits of a true pro-hero. I'm not going to, Stain protested. But if you're forced to, then what? Izumi laughed, kicking him away. What's exactly your motive? Izuku questioned. Oh come on, Izuku. There's no need to be dramatic and thank me for this. After all, you do need to survive. There are other better quirks around that require this Wani-chan to snipe. I shall meet you again, Izuku, she said, walking off and leaving Deku and Tenya to fend off Stain, who was slowly recovering. Despite his wounds, Stain continued to fight fiercely. He attacked Deku with his blades, attempting to bypass him to reach Tenya, forcing Deku to unleash a card. Form card, Kriati, staff, he declared, conjuring a staff using Momo's quirk to face off against Stain. At one point, he disarmed him. I can counter anything you throw at me, Deku asserted. Form card, Kriati, blade, he added, and they clashed, locking their blades until Deku kicked Stain away and used another card. Final attack card, DDD Deku, he shouted, channeling one for all into the blade. A row of cards appeared in front of him as he dashed through them, slashing Stain 3 times, causing him to lose consciousness but remain standing. Deku rushed over to Tenya, helping him up. We need to carry the unconscious Stain away from here, he instructed. They brought Stain to the city square, where a crowd was gathering. However, Deku was suddenly grabbed by a winged Nomu, and Stain, in a burst of adrenaline, liked the Nomu's BLD from a female pro-hero's cheek to paralyze it. After neutralizing the creature, Stain chased after them and plunged his blade into the Nomu's brain, defeating it. He then delivered a final speech that would inspire new villains to rise, while Tamura began recruiting more for his league. As for Deku, upon returning to school, he was bombarded by questions from the girls. I was there too, you know, Tenya noted, but the girls weren't interested in his story. Midnight, passing by, sighed in relief at seeing Izuku unharmed. Their next lesson would be a rescue training race, which Izuku later won by utilizing Tenya's quirk card. Months passed, and the 1A students finally finished their end-of-term exams. Midoriya didn't use his belt or cards during that time, as he considered it cheating, similar to what happened at the sports fest. Now, Izuku found himself at the Department of Support, just passing through when a pair of hands unexpectedly grabbed him. You really do have a nice figure. I love your muscles, Izuku. Mei exclaimed, playfully rubbing his chest from behind. Stop it already, handsome. I didn't come here to be inspected, he protested. I have to tell you though, that belt buckle you have and that card book, they look suspiciously familiar. What do you mean? Izuku asked, confused. Mei then slammed a large blueprint on the workshop table, pointing to a familiar device. Isn't that I want to ask you very carefully, Izu baby, where did you get this belt? I never even finished making it yet. I can explain. Izuku said, sharing his story with Mei, who grinned, intrigued. So, someone in your costume gave it to you. Coincidentally, this belt is created to only be used by you as well. Izuku realized something significant. What if the figure who gave him the belt was himself from a distant future, like what Toru, Jiru, and the villains at the USJ incident had warned him about? He glanced at some other blueprints, most of them odd belts like the one he was using. One device caught his attention. It resembled a flip phone. What is a flip phone doing in here, he wondered. Oh, that's MK. My latest project. It's almost done. Mark triple, yes, or you may call it zero gravity. So this one is for Achiko. So perceptive. It is for her. I just need to finish tweaking some data here, and it's done. With the press of a button, the flip phone-like object powered on. Power on, it announced. That's nice, but where's the belt? Izuku asked. They searched the entire department until they found it being brought in by Power Loader, who was intrigued by the belt's design. May then placed the belt and the device into a small metal suitcase, which also contained a strange digital camera-like device, a laser pointer, and a hilt for a blade. And the finishing touches. May added, placing a pile of papers into the case, which turned out to be the manual on how to use the devices. Makes sense, this thing is too complex to use. Oh, and handsome, yes. Did you come up with this idea to make power-up belts? Nope. But some girl who looked a lot like you gave me the blueprints and the materials. Izuku recalled what Izumi had said back at Hosu. There are other better quirks around that require this one Ichan to snipe. Handsome, did she use cards? Indeed. From those cards, I can insert the quirks contained within to power up the devices I'm making. After a while, May explained the device and its use in combat. Realizing it was getting late, she handed the case to him, telling him to bring it to Achiko the next time he met her. A couple of days later, Izuku found himself struggling against a muscular villain, who was clearly deranged. You are already defeated. I have won this, hero, the villain declared. Izuku was at the forest training camp, separated from the others, and protecting a little boy who initially detested heroes. Is that so? You're mistaken. A hero can only be defeated if he draws his last breath, and I won't let you get any closer to this boy, Izuku said, shielding the boy behind him. His name was Kuda. Just who are you? The villain demanded. Just a passing-through hero. Remember that. Henshin. Transform card, DKU. Upon transforming, Deku pulled another card from the book. Let's see the other powers I received like this one. Attack card, I am here. Deku swiped his hands and shouted, I am here, imitating All Might's pose. So then what? The muscular villain asked. Deku stopped posing and pulled out another card featuring Mina's figure. Attack card, dance off. He began to dance, spinning around before breaking into a breakdance, ending with a handstand. Can't touch this. But I didn't even do anything to you. What is the meaning of this? The villain exclaimed. Just, what's wrong this time? Don't ask me. Deku shouted. He pulled out 2 more cards instead of letting the book dispense them automatically. Upon reading them, he cringed. Freshly picked grape juice, which had Mineta's portrait, and dye, which featured Bakugo's portrait. Don't mess with me, the villain shouted, and with a punch, Deku was sent flying, his transformation dispelling and returning him to his normal costume. Deku. Are you alright? Kuda called out. Barely. Oh, how unlucky I am today. Izuku replied. The battle resumed, and Izuku refrained from transforming again until he resolved the situation with a powerful, Detroit Smash 100%. This punch decimated the muscular villain, rendering him unconscious for a rest, but it left Izuku injured. He carried Kuda and found Aizawa in the woods, convincing the teacher to allow the others to defend themselves for survivability. Aizawa agreed and sent him off toward Mandalay. Izuku transformed again before heading out. Mandalay was in the middle of a fight against a gecko-like villain named Spinner, who wielded a large makeshift blade. You are not a true hero. Spinner taunted, only to be knocked aside by Izuku's kick. Mandalay, I've got a message for Aizawa. He has allowed permission to fight, please share the message with all the students. Mandalay nodded and relayed the message. Meanwhile, Ochiko and Tsuyu faced a psychotic blonde girl in a Sifuku who introduced herself as Himiko Toga, a newly recruited member of the League of Villains. She had befriended the two girls in her own twisted way. Upon receiving the message, Ochiko instructed Tsuyu to hold Toga off. "Oh, and what are you about to do?" Toga teased. "Run away for your own safety." But she was interrupted by Tsuyu, who urged her to hurry. During the trip to the forest camp, Izuku nervously called out to Ochiko and handed her a strange metal case. "What is this, Deku-kun?" she asked. "Hatsum told me to give it to you. It comes with a manual so you can understand how this works." Luckily, she had time to read through it until the villains invaded. Ochiko dropped the case onto the ground and opened it, revealing a belt and device. She fastened the belt around her waist and took the flip phone-like device, which intrigued Toga. "Oh, about to call for help with a flip phone. How old school," she started, but was interrupted by a robotic voice resembling Hatsum's saying, "Standing by." Ochiko closed the phone, raised it high, and shouted, "Henshin." As she placed the device on her belt buckle, a red glowing line outlined her costume, which materialized into Uravity's outfit complete with a yellow visor and a translucent mouthguard. "What on earth is that?" Toga exclaimed. "I'll explain later, Tsu." Ochiko replied, noticing Toga rushing toward her with a knife. Quickly, she grabbed Toga's wrist and brought her down to the ground using the GMA technique she had learned in training. After backflipping away, Ochiko pulled out the device from her belt and pressed the buttons. Single mode. In a swift motion, she bent the top side of the flip phone towards Toga, and the mini antenna shot off a beam of light that repelled her. "Alright, now let's see what this does." She pressed another sequence, and the device announced, "Burst mode." The mini antenna shot off 3 concentrated beams, but Toga managed to slash them away, screaming in pain as she stood back up. In response, Ochiko took out a digital camera-like device from her belt, bent the handle to form a knuckle duster, and attached the flip phone casing to it. "Ready." She opened the flip phone while it was still on her belt and pressed the start button. Exceed charge. The knuckle duster emitted long beeping sounds as Ochiko prepared to run toward Toga, who attempted to strike again. This time, Ochiko ducked and struck the knuckle duster onto Toga's stomach, knocking the wind out of her. A diagonal symbol appeared from Toga's back as she was sent flying. "You got me, but at least I got your BLD before," Toga shouted as she limped toward a portal conjured by Kurogiri. "Ochiko, that was just amazing," Tsuyu exclaimed. "I thought so too. I should thank Hatsum later." "Tsu, you head back to the others, I have someone to save," Ochiko ordered, her antenna detecting someone in distress. It was Deku. Meanwhile, Tokoyami was in his dark shadow form fighting a villain, while Bakugo battled another. Unbeknownst to them, they were being trapped by Mr. Compress, a villain who acted like a magician. Deku, injured but determined, was caught by Toga, who was surprised to see him transforming. A card flew out of a book, displaying Toga's portrait. Why is a quirk control card showing a villain as its power source, he wondered. "Call me Toga, Izuku-kun," she shouted, pouncing on him and pinning him to the ground. Toga attempted to stab him but hesitated at the last moment. "Toga! We're retreating," shouted a nearby villain. Confused, Toga stood up and walked off to the portal. The villains tried to escape using Kurogiri's warp gate, and Mr. Compress caught the ball that imprisoned the two boys, but was interrupted by Aoima's naval laser. "Don't forget about this as well," a voice shouted from the side as Mr. Compress spat out the trapped duo. Exceed charge. A laser beam shot out from Ochiko's device, forming a red laser drill that hit the magician villain. Upon contact, the drill stuck to his body, and he screamed as Ochiko launched a flying kick through the drill, sending it back through the portal. The magician's body slowly turned to sand as he watched the compressed duo return to normal. Tokoyami was free, but a hand caught the one where Bakugo was trapped. "I am sorry," it said. It was Dabi, whose quirk was to create blue flames. Todoroki failed to rescue Bakugo, and Deku rushed over to help, but it was too late. The portal closed just as Mr. Compress turned to sand entirely, leaving behind the red diagonal symbol. Deku screamed, "Kachin," as he beat the ground in frustration. Izuku was brought to the hospital to recover from using his one for all without his costume. Ochiko and the other girls of Class 1A surrounded his hospital bed. Outside, the girls of Class 1B stared at the boy on the bed, surrounded by multiple admirers. "Why is a boy like him this popular with the girls?" a red-haired girl asked. "I heard he saves people, no matter the situation," replied a girl with a mushroom hairstyle. "If that's true, then he did God's will. Saving others, no matter the risk. He's like the Holy Messiah," a girl with green vine-like hair added. Among them, a black-haired girl silently admired Izuku. "Yui, don't tell me you as well," the redhead said, noticing Yui's gaze. "What? I was just looking at his wounds." "There are no more wounds, God bless him. Didn't you hear that earlier?" This caused Yui to look away. "I can't stay here. I need to find Kaken," she said. "You can't, Deku-kun." Uraraka shouted, restraining Izuku. "It's suicide, Midoriya." Momo warned. "If you go, then I mean your future will be lost." Mina exclaimed, stuttering. The other girls, including the Class 1B girls outside, glared at her. "I mean it, his future would be at risk." The others sighed in relief as Izuku finally calmed down from the restraints. Exhausted, he soon fell asleep again. Many days later, at night, Kirishima informed Izuku that Momo had changed her mind and decided to join in saving Bakugo, and that Shudo was joining as well. However, they were stopped by Tenya, who punched Izuku in the face for insisting on going, fearing that he would repeat the same mistake as before. But Izuku, being Izuku, persisted. As the group boarded the train, they didn't notice a silver-haired teen girl following them from behind. Their destination was Yokohama, where they planned to execute the raid covertly. Kirishima had brought a pair of night vision goggles he purchased online just in case. Meanwhile, Bakugo was tied up at the main hideout, being coerced into joining the villains. Remembering Best Jeanist, he rejected their offer by delivering a powerful punch at Tamura. Elsewhere, the group found a dark room in another hideout. Kirishima put on the goggles and yelped in surprise. Inside were tubes containing more Nomu, but what caught their attention was a figure armed with a gun standing in front of them. Izumi. Era. Izuku, Ida-chan. What a coincidence for you to be here. Midoriya, who's she? Momo asked. She's the person who effortlessly defeated me and Bakugo a while ago. She steals people's quirks and can summon them using cards, Ida replied. But we don't know if she's our enemy or not this time. What's your purpose here, Izumi? The girl, a female replica of Izuku, chuckled. If I drain them of their abilities, then they are not of use anymore, right? Wani-chan is just doing this city a favor by cutting off the loose ends like these Nomu. However, I advise that you should not interfere with me. After all, wasn't your purpose here in the city to find Katsuchi? The group exchanged uneasy glances before Izumi inserted a card. Attack card, invisible, I'll see you another time, bye-bye. She then pulled the trigger and vanished from sight. Suddenly, they heard explosions and crashes not too far away, prompting them to head in that direction. They remained unaware of the girl stalking them as a butterfly landed in her hand, which she slid onto her belt buckle. Henshin, back at the main hideout, a knock was heard on the door, claiming to be the Pizza Dlvry boy, until suddenly, All Might appeared from the opposite wall. This shocked the villains, and Tamura was about to order Kurogiri to warp everyone out, but a huge gust of wind knocked the entire interior cold. All Might himself was surprised. Woods, it's you, isn't it? No. My wood is not that fast. But Bakugo caught a glimpse of the figure for a split second. The figure wore a sleek black jumpsuit underneath plates of armor painted red and an odd belt. Who is, the figure nodded at Bakugo before whizzing away. Why aren't the Nomu responding, mysterious figure asked, before his gaze fell on one of the Wild Pussycats members, Ragdoll. He planned to find the missing Nomu, and he had just the quirk to gain it. He approached Ragdoll, but a gust of wind sent him flying backward. This speed overclock. But I thought Ragdoll noticed that her binds were off and ran away. The figure tried to pursue her, but another gust of wind hit him, sending him to the ground. Why didn't I take her quirk at the beginning? Back at the main HQ, Toga freed herself using a small knife she had snuck onto her wrist to cut off the binds created by Kamui Woods after they were beaten by the gust of wind. Toga wondered what kind of attack that was but shrugged it off as she cut her restraints when nobody was looking and quickly freed the others. Kurogiri then warped them away, and when the heroes noticed, they shouted in dismay. The entire league was gone. Elsewhere, at the warehouse where the Nomu were stored, they warped out only to be shocked by the dried, mummified forms of what once were the Nomu. Ah, you're all here it seems. Thanks for saving One-chan the trouble of finding you. Toga shivered. The figure revealed herself, holding a dozen cards. They were strong enough, so I sealed them into being my own puppets. No way, Kurogiri said. Now, let this One-chan ease her boredom by facing you, transform card, Henshin. Quirk Sniper, the girl pulled the trigger and transformed into her costume. The villains, including Tamura, Magna, Spinner, Mustard, Twice, Dabi, and Kurogiri, were on alert and readied their attacks as Toga stepped back, her body trembling at the sight of the girl in front of her. Izumi, this would be a fight between a mysterious vigilante and the majority of the League of Villains a 7-on, it was a while ago, just before Toga joined the League. Himiko Toga stood up after draining the BLD from a police officer who struck her fancy. She savored the taste until a voice came from behind her. Let One-chan tell you this. Toga turned around to see a girl with long dark green hair, wearing the uniform of UA high school, approaching her. There is no disease worse than boredom. And only two things can cure it, theft and battle. The girl then pulled out her gun and aimed it at Toga. Toga dodged and tried to stab her with a knife, but the girl sidestepped the attack and struck Toga across the face, making her fall to the ground. It stung like a wasp's sting. Enraged, Toga crawled over to the dead police officer, took his handgun, and fired at the girl before throwing her knife. However, the girl caught all the bullets easily with her left hand as if they were toys and dropped them to the ground. She caught the knife with her right hand, disarming Toga as the bullets clattered across the alleyway. Toga felt only a little pain, as the girl had only made a small scratch on her cheek. The girl sighed. I always win my battles. At this rate, One-chan was going to die of boredom. She took the knife away from Toga and, with a playful smirk, unbuttoned some of her shirt, revealing a hint of her chest. Now, just watch this, she said, taking a deep breath and moving the knife towards her own chest, just above her heart. Toga's eyes widened in shock as she watched, unable to comprehend the scene unfolding before her. What on, she murmured, trying to process the sight. The girl continued to make a deep cut, her expression a mix of excitement and madness. How's this? This wound over my heart shall now be my weak spot. You might stand a chance. She crouched down, grabbing Toga by the neck and pulling her closer. If you aim for it. With a sudden burst of energy, she stood up, tossing the knife aside and shouting, interesting. This is starting to sound fun. Her eyes gleamed with a wild intensity, sending chills down Toga's spine as she scrambled backward, feeling cornered against the wall. One-chan thought you liked the sight of BLD. If so, then fight me. The girl laughed again, and Toga felt tears welling up in her eyes as fear gripped her. Why, how could she make me feel such fear? Just then, Twice snapped Toga out of her trance, calling her name. She realized they had a chance against the girl, especially since Izumi's wound had already healed, though the mark remained. As the masked figure that was once Izumi approached the villains, she suddenly sped up. Spinner struck first with a blade he had fashioned, but Izumi effortlessly swatted him aside, sending him crashing into one of the Nomu tanks. Magna prepared her quirk, attempting to magnetize Twice and Izumi. However, Twice was launched toward Izumi, only to receive a swift kick to the face. Izumi then pulled out a card and inserted it into her gun. "Attack card, erasure," she declared, pointing the gun at Magna and forcing her quirk to cancel. "A little special service," Izumi said, aiming her gun at the ceiling. A large bullet fired, exploding into a rain of bullets that fell upon the villains. Magna was hit, causing her to kneel in pain as Dabi, Tamura, and Kurogiri appeared from a warp gate above Izumi, attempting a combined attack. Izumi, however, was quick to react, inserting another card. Final attack card, QQ Quirk Sniper. She aimed her gun upward, and with a pull of the trigger, a massive blast shot through the air, sending the three of them crashing back against the ceiling before they fell to the ground. Toga, shaking with determination, dashed forward and moved her knife toward Izumi's chest. "If I can just stab it, then it's over," but as Izumi's transformation faded, she caught Toga's wrist with a smirk. How naive One-chan's disappointed. With a swift motion, she twisted Toga's arm and slammed her to the ground. Toga heard a crack as she coughed, feeling the impact shatter the vials on her back. Slowly, her consciousness began to fade. Mustard attempted to unleash his gas quirk, but Izumi shot his mask's filters, causing him to choke. "Now, leave," she commanded, surprising the villains with her nonchalance. "One-chan shall face you again when you're stronger. Perhaps then, my boredom can be sated." With a final bye-bye and a playful kiss blown in their direction, Izumi vanished. Back at the main hideout, All for One faced All Might, proving to be a formidable opponent. "Now, young Midoriya!" All Might shouted as Deku appeared behind AFO, blinding him with a row of holographic cards. With a powerful kick imbued with One for All, AFO was sent crashing into a wall. Determined to end the fight, All Might unleashed his final attack, United States of SMAASSH. The force of the blow overwhelmed AFO, leaving All Might exhausted and revealing his true form. He pointed at Deku, declaring, "You're next." The broadcast was watched by the entire world, interpreted as a warning for villains, though only a few from you. A understood it was directed at Deku, the next symbol of peace. The night after the raid, All Might scolded Izuku for his recklessness, explaining why he chose him as his successor. Izuku took his mentor's words to heart, vowing to protect everyone with his quirks and his own one-for-all shoot style. With All Might's retirement, the students of U. A move to the dorms at Heights Alliance for safety, away from potential villain attacks. The girls visited Izuku often, concerned for his well-being, while the boys questioned All Might's decision. The girls, however, supported him in every way they could. Deku and Ochako were sparring outside the dorm in their costumes. "Your responses are too slow, Ochako," he called out, though she hesitated to reply, not wanting to hurt him. But for the sake of improving with her new costume, Ochako had to face Deku in it. She shakily took out the device from her belt buckle and inserted it into a slot on the digital camera-shaped knuckle duster she had taken from her belt's left hip socket. "Ready," she called out. "Now, come at me with all you've got." Deku replied. "I got it, Deku-kun." Ochako opened the device and pressed the start button. Exceed charge. A long beeping sound emanated from the knuckle duster as Ochako dashed forward. Deku stood still, and just before the duster hit him, Ochako stopped as Deku threw a punch at the knuckle duster, causing both of them to be knocked back and dispelling their transformation. "That's not bad at all. We can win our provisional hero licenses if we get better," Deku encouraged. The provisional hero license was necessary for a hero to arrest or fight villains independently. With the exam just days away, they needed to practice. Aizawa had told them they were a special case and allowed them to spar while the other classmates trained at Gym Gamma. Midnight had covered for them, saying they both had sudden essays to complete. "Oh, and Hatsum told me to give you this," Deku said, tossing an object to Ochako. "What's this?" she asked after catching it. It looked like a wristwatch. "The manual in that case explains what it is. However, it seems Hatsum forgot to include this," Deku explained. I see." On the day of the exams, the UA students met up with the students from Shiketsu High. Representing them was a boy named Inesa, who bowed so low that his head nearly touched the ground, much to the awe of the UA students. Later, another group from Ketsubatsu High appeared, led by a confident female teacher whom Aizawa recognized as Emi, or Ms. Joke. The group then changed into their costumes, with Deku and Achiko changing in different locations. Henshin. Transform card, Deku, the device responded. Standing by. Henshin. Complete. Later, Mera from the Hero Public Safety Commission explained how the exams would proceed. The first task was to tag at least 2 opponents with 3 ball. During the exam, Ms. Joke discussed the annual crushing of UA with Aizawa, who scoffed, stating that UA had their special heroes. Deku was seen using Momo's quirk to create a drum and a pair of drumsticks, then using Jairu's quirk to sprout earphone jacks from his mask. "What's that kid doing? Starting a boy band?" Ms. Joke laughed. He also threw an electric guitar he conjured toward Todoroki, who gave him a silent thumbs up. Jairu attached one of her jacks to the guitar, and Todoroki started playing. "Practicing, Todoroki?" Jairu asked. "Well, to pass the exam, there's no other choice, right?" he replied. Deku then threw a trumpet he had conjured to Yuga, who took a small breath as Jairu attached the other jack to the trumpet before he began to play. Final attack card, earphone jack. Izuku started by hitting the drums, causing amplified sounds to ring in the other contestants' ears. DKU. Jairu then used her quirk to amplify the guitar sounds that Todoroki was playing. Toridoki. A few seconds later, the same happened with Yuga's trumpet. Yuga. The impromptu concert caused a quarter of the arena to be affected by the amplified sound waves, causing the opposing contestants to kneel down, holding their ears. Todoroki continued to jam on the guitar, even causing Ms. Joke to feel the effects of the sound amplifier. With a final beat on the drum, Deku signaled the others to rain down their ball, tagging and eliminating dozens of opponents. Ms. Joke widened her eyes at Deku's prowess as he made the musical instruments vanish as quickly as they had appeared. Split into teams, focus on the opponents you are currently facing. Got it, everyone replied, except for Bakugo and Todoroki. Regardless, Bakugo teamed up with Kaminari and Kirishima while Todoroki went solo. On the other side, Shiketsu High student Inesa used his whirlwind quirk, eliminating 120 contestants in an instant. This surprised Aizawa, who then glared sharply at Izuku. Deku could not mess this up, or UA would face humiliation like in the previous crushing. Just as Deku felt that glare, he was hit by one of the ball. He looked back, only to see a pair of arms reach his shoulders as a figure flipped over him. "You shouldn't drop your guard," said a blonde-haired girl, giving Izuku a questioning look. She's from Shiketsu Kami, he realized. Kami Utsushimi, her quirk still unknown to Deku. They engaged in hand-to-hand combat, both evenly matched until Izuku used a card. Attack card, Harden. "Kirishima, allow me to borrow this," Deku said as his right arm hardened until it was as solid as rock. He aimed to send Kami away without injuring her. Afterward, his arm returned to normal. Attack card, Invisible. Deku vanished, and Kami looked around, confused. He reappeared behind a pile of concrete, leaning against it. He peeked out to see Achiko in trouble against some Shiketsu students. With one for all speed enhancer, which he had developed himself, he dashed toward Achiko, catching her in the air before bringing her back to the concrete where he had been hiding. However, he soon realized that Achiko was acting strangely. Shouldn't she be able to dodge the attacks since she had trained to adapt to her zero gravity? Suddenly, he felt fingers touching his back and slapped them away. "You're not Uraraka. Your costume gave it away." How could you say that, she replied. You didn't wear the belt, even though you were supposed to before the exam started. Who are you? Izuku prepared to pull out another card as he saw the fake Ochako melting into gray liquid, revealing herself to be Kami. She stood there, but Deku had trained himself to remain focused and not be distracted. In the midst of the exam, far from Deku, Todoroki had successfully tagged some students from Seijin High, who were dressed in ninja costumes. Meanwhile, a team consisting of Momo, Jairu, Tsuyu, and Mizo Shoji, a student from Class 1A with the ability to duplicate his arms, found themselves in a dark room next to another where loud conversations and music were coming from. Jairu attempted to eavesdrop but was unable to due to the noise. Outside, Ochako was focused, managing to hold her own against some students from Shiketsu High until Mina arrived to relieve her. Ochako then hurried towards the building where Momo and the others were. Before entering, she remembered the wristwatch that Izuku had given her. She put it on and pressed a button, activating it. Inside, Jairu used her quirk on a stereo that Momo had conjured, blasting a loud noise that stunned everyone in the next room. They entered, intending to tag the contestants to pass the exam. However, one of the opposing team members was still conscious and trapped Momo, revealing that their team was merely pretending to be out. The lead girl, with long light hair and a monocle, introduced herself as Psycho Intelli. She explained how her quirk allowed her to trap Momo and her team by enhancing her IQ after drinking tea. Suddenly, something whizzed through the air, knocking out the opposing team and leaving behind 5 symbols as they fell. Intelli was the last to be hit, feeling a heavy blow to her torso and looking down to see a knuckle duster resembling a digital camera. Her assailant was Ochako, whose yellow visor had turned red, and her body armor expanded, revealing an engine-like structure beneath. As the countdown reached 0, the gear announced reformation, and Ochako's armor returned to normal. She detached the phone cover from the knuckle duster and returned it to her belt before flicking her wrist, feeling the fatigue from her earlier punch. Ochako! Momo called out. They're all yours, Ochako replied firmly before leaving, surprising her teammates with her newfound confidence. Elsewhere, Kaminari, Kirishima, and Bakugo were searching for examinees to eliminate when Kirishima noticed a strange projectile heading towards Bakugo. He pushed Bakugo out of the way, taking the hit himself, which distorted his body. They recognized the culprit as Seiji Shishikura from Shiketsu High, who boasted about his superiority. Bakugo, angered, retaliated with his autocannon attack, only to realize he and Kaminari were flanked. A projectile hit Bakugo's back, transforming him as well. However, Kaminari, equipped with upgraded gear from Hatsum, aimed his arm at Seiji and unleashed a concentrated surge of electricity, knocking him out cold. Back with Deku, he was still engaged in a hand-to-hand fight with Kami. Suddenly, a red light flowed through the ground and enveloped Kami, lifting her as if gravity had vanished. Her zone of gravity Ochako. Deku realized as he saw Ochako running towards them, wielding a glowing red baton. With determination, she struck Kami, making quick slashes that incapacitated her. "Tch, not again," Kami muttered as she fell, choosing to withdraw from the exam. Ochako, feeling fatigued, knelt down. "Are you alright?" Deku asked. It's fine, Deku-kun." "It's fine," she replied, though her exhaustion was evident. Deku helped her to a safer area where they found Siro fending off some examinees alone. They devised a strategy, with Ochako still able to levitate objects despite her fatigue. Siro attached tapes to some large rocks, and when the examinees approached, they triggered the trap, rendering them immobile and allowing the team to pass. As they waited for the second exam, Ochako staggered from exhaustion. Deku caught her as her transformation reverted, returning her to her school uniform. He set her down on a bench before heading off to find a vending machine, not wanting to reveal his own transformation. At the vending machine, he inserted a coin and pressed a button. After a brief wait, he hit the machine, causing 3 cans of tea to dispense. Who am I going to share this with, he wondered as he walked back. On his way, He noticed a girl with a monocle sitting on a bench, looking stressed. Approaching her, he handed her one of the cans. "Who are you? What do you want with me?" she asked. "Here's for you," Deku said. "Why?" she inquired. "You look rather stressed. Why do you care anyway?" "Because isn't it what a hero should do when someone looks like they're in dismay?" The girl hesitated, then slowly took the can and thanked him. As she opened it, she looked up to ask, "Wait, who are," but Deku had already vanished, leaving behind a taped note. The girl, Intelli, stood up, looking around in confusion. Something about the hero sparked a feeling in her heart. The note read, "Just a passing through hero, remember that," accompanied by a symbol resembling his mask. The last students from UA who had passed were Mina, Yuga, and Tenya. Mina appeared a bit downcast, wishing she could fight alongside Deku. To be continued.